As a queer individual with colonial lineage, I want to first acknowledge the land upon which I live and work. Being from what is now known as Burlington, Ontario, I recognize the original ancestry of these lands as they span from Lake Ontario to the Niagara Escarpment and beyond. These lands are steeped in Indigenous history that benefits my community every day. The territory is mutually covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy, the Ojibwe, and other allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. I would like to acknowledge that the land on which I stand is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. The land dictates everything about our ways of being. Particularly, the land teaches us about fluidity. Concepts of the binary system and heteropatriarchy were imposed by the colonials who were, at the same time, removing children from their homes, families, and all that was familiar to them. These same children were divided by the only two prescribed binaries recognized by the settlers, and they were forced to conform to a performative, gendered falsehood. The land doesn't operate under binary thinking. It is diverse, complex, and unpredictable at times. Rather, the land holds us and all of our remarkable pasts and identities. Every organism and spirit has a purpose. It is from this understanding that I strive to live and grow. They made it to the show just in time for International Women's Day. Today, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of introducing you to two of Canada's most amazing individuals, Shawnee Kish and Jen Kish. Today, they talk to me about their journey to family creation and how and why they made the decisions that they made when they created their family. Welcome to the Becoming babyREADY podcast, your podcast for queer family planning. My name is Sam, and throughout this podcast, you'll hear me have conversations with professionals who work alongside people who want to start and grow their families, as well as parents of intentionally created families. Everyone I speak to identifies as being part of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community. This is your opportunity to learn answers to questions you didn't even know you had. Welcome, everyone. Today, I am finally able to introduce you to two people that you've heard me talk about before. You know that I've wanted to interview for a while. Their life has been very busy with a variety of different things, but today we get a chance to sit down and chat. And this episode is airing during International Women's Day week. And so I am extremely proud to be able to be speaking to two Canadian icons, Jen Kish and Shawnee Kish, who together have created a family. And so welcome to the two of you. I really appreciate you taking time to be here today. Please tell us about who you are and the members of your family.
First of all, thank you for having us. We've been wanting to be a part of this for a long time, so we're excited to finally be doing this with you. So my name is Jen Kish. I'm a retired professional athlete in the sport of rugby. I've done many things in rugby, one of them being getting bronze at the 2016 Rio Games. And now I'm just retired from sport and I follow my wife around. I'm the eye candy.
There you go.
More than that. She's not even giving herself enough credit. She does like all the business stuff now, and I get to focus on the art part of what I do. But she's very much the captain of the Kish family.
Oh, I like that.
There you go.
I just came up with that. Do you like that?
I like that. Yeah.
But I'm Shawnee, and I'm a singer and a songwriter, and I use music as medicine. Music has very much been a part of my healing journey throughout, since at a young age when I kind of struggled with my identity and things like that, and my surroundings and kind of self-worth. And I've used music as a part of it is a big part of who I am and the healing journey that I'm on. So I write music and I hope to share that message, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Amazing. And I can just say that your music is cathartic for many of us who put it on and crank it up and then drive down the QEW as fast as traffic will let us go and just get our emotions out. You can feel the passion and the emotion in the music that you share with the world. So thank you for that. It is a gift and it needs to be recognized.
That's what I imagine when I'm creating music. I'm like, how would this make me feel in my car driving? Because I scream sing in the car, especially when I'm alone. What people probably think on the outside, they're like, what is that lady doing? But that's me too. So that makes me happy that that is also what you do.
I literally just did that. We dropped off Harley at her grandparents' house, and I was alone because Shawnee stayed home. And literally on the way home, because Shawnee's gearing up to release another EP that falls into an album. But I was listening to one of her songs that she will be releasing. And
But that one's a whiner.
I don't care. But I literally was like scream yelling, listening to her new song, and I'm like, this is one of those songs, and I think people are really gonna enjoy it. And lo and behold, when I walked into the house, Shawnee was listening to the same song, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was just listening to that.
I was doing mixing. I was mixing the song. We're in mixing mastering world right now, so that's what I was listening to.
Yeah, but I was just scream yelling to it, so it was very fitting. Anyways, that's her music is very powerful, and I find a lot of healing in it for sure. Just the lyrics are so real. And
Really.
I mean, that's like my non-biased opinion too.
You're a little biased.
Of course. All right, you mentioned that you dropped Harley off to her grandparents. Tell everyone who Harley is.
Oh my gosh, she's our little firecracker of a pride and joy. She's like absolutely everything that we ever could have imagined. She's our 8 month old daughter.
Yeah, she just turned 8 months. And Harley, it's Harley Hope Kish. Um, she is our daughter, and we are two proud parents. She has such a personality on her now. She really soaks up everything around her and catches on quickly. And we just, she is a part of our, our a dream that Shawnee and I had together, and she came to fruition. And so,
Which is crazy because sometimes I just look, we both have these moments where we look at her and we're like, oh, like at some point you were just a vision in our mind.
Yeah.
Like you were just this idea of a person and this sense of like hope for this future that we had. And then we look at her and we're like, look at you, there you are.
You're real. You're real. And no one's going to take you. Like we have, nieces and nephews, and
and they're like, hey, give me my kid back.
Yeah, you get to give them back, and you're like, oh, okay. But now we have a daughter that we can pour our heart and souls into every single second of the day and create a life for her that's safe and loving and all the things that we want for her, and it's important for Shawnee and I to rewrite history in the sense of our own childhood. And because both Shawnee and I had rough childhoods, so to rewrite history in that instance is such a, I don't know, how would you say it, like
it was a driving force for sure.
Yeah.
Like, that was our dream, and to have a family and be able to put our healing and our hopes and dreams into this little family of ours and make it what we wish we would have had growing up, and the stability and create safety is the most important thing for us to provide for her, so that we're putting her first. And I don't know, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but we're just like, this is such a big dream of ours, and it's, we were only 8 months into it, and we're just like,
but 8 months live into it, but we've been trying for 3 years, 3 years until it happened, and we almost quit, because so many fail attempts.
She probably has more questions.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, we babble. Let me.
It's all good.
Ask the questions.
I'll let you ask the questions. Harley's good, by the way. That's who
Harley's good. That's who Harley is, everyone.
Excellent. I asked. It's great. It's perfect. But you raise a point that's important, and yes, I think, and I mean, I can't speak to either of your childhoods or growing up, but even if everything was sunshine and rainbows, you get to a point where you're thinking about creating a life and a life for yourself, whether that's by having a child or partnering with somebody, and you're part of the queer community, and already you meet obstacles just by definition of being part of that community. And how will this happen? Can this really happen? I mean, it doesn't happen for free. It doesn't happen easily. It doesn't happen without assistance. And so it feels like I say, whether or not there were other emotional and physical obstacles in your past, that alone is a huge obstacle that can feel like it needs to be overcome. And to be able to have Harley as a result of that is just a monumental gift. And then other things on top of that just are on top of that too, right?
Yeah, it honestly, it's when you look at society, like it isn't easy to be a queer family in society these days. And and that's because a lot of people don't understand it, have their religious views.
Well, it's definitely not set up for queer families, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
When we go in, you walk into this office, which I wasn't allowed in because it was during COVID. So
Right.
so you went in, but the form says who's the mother, who's the father, and it's like, well, where's my form? Like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah.
That's, so right then and there, you're like, okay, well, you have to change your form and update it just in case you didn't know there is such thing as gay people. But anyways. And then they're like, okay, and now you're gonna do this mandatory therapy session. I was like, okay, here we go. We're gonna, and this therapist was like, so how are you gonna explain to your child that they have two mommies? And I was like, what do you mean by that question? Like, how do you? It's
And no
like,
dad.
yeah,
Specifically, no dad.
how are you like? And she's like, well, since you can't answer the question, let me recommend a book for you that's for children. And kind of I felt defensive because I felt like they were acting like as if it was like this symptom of disease or something. Like it was something that we had to explain away to our child when this house is just filled with love and dreaming and hope. And what do we need to explain here,
Yeah.
like so anyways, we just, to come up against, I guess, the system
Mhm.
that was not built for same-sex couples.
Yep.
That was a very real and surprising, shocking reality for me.
Well, even now, like the ideology that, a kid needs, a father figure and a mother figure. I think that is completely absurd.
Mhm.
I grew up without a mother figure in my life. Shawnee's dad sadly passed away when she was young, so she grew up without a father figure. And we are two very successful people.
Mhm.
Obviously, our parents had their own challenges raising, kids alone and etc. But there's a lot of families, a lot of different dynamics, a lot of single parents out there. And so when you think about two loving mothers or two loving fathers, or whatever that family dynamic may look like, as long as like the love is there, it doesn't matter what your body looks like. Like Harley, she may come to us and say, why don't I have a dad? And she's not coming to us. She may not come to us because she feels like she's missing out, but maybe because society challenged her view on you must have a father figure. Where's your dad? By maybe one of her friends, and we are fully prepared to have that discussion with her. But I just find that, even on social media, like that ideology of what a family should look like. And we've gotten a lot of hate towards us for bringing Harley into this world with two loving moms, which is
Let her ask the questions.
sorry, I'm doing that thing again. I just like it's just like rolling because it is like I'm so passionate about it now. Like it's just I find it I find it completely sad how
There's a lot to say.
there is a lot to say. There you go. Yeah.
But it no, but you're right. It is sad that society has an opinion about what happens behind the walls of your home when it literally has zero effect on the function of their life. Why sit behind your keyboard and type out hate-filled messages about something that you're not living because you choose not to live it? If you choose not to live it, perfect. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm going to respectfully request you don't tell me how to live mine, and you go your way, I'll go mine. And I don't understand how that's not how the world happens.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. Like, and what about this scares people? Like some
Mhm.
specific people or belief systems. Like, what about this is abnormal? Like in my culture, being Indigenous, I'm Mohawk, and in my culture, there is a belief that two spirit or people are very sacred and very, very specifically gifted with that.
Mhm.
um, to understand both walks of life, and we need those people in our communities. If everybody looked the same and everybody was in the same box and everybody, this is a man, this is a woman, where is the passion, and where is the life and the love, and the different components that makes us human, like where are we if we're just confined to this idea of what it should be, what we should be?
Yeah.
And so, it's
Evolution comes from individuality.
Mhm.
And ultimately, like Shawnee's saying, just to echo her words, it's like if we were all the same, then there's no evolution in what we're doing, no innovation, no nothing. We're just kind of existing. And I find that if people were more open to evolution, and growth, then maybe, there'd be more people, there'd be less hate, you know.
100%.
So
Yeah, absolutely. So now you have Harley. Let's backtrack a little bit. You had to get to the point where you got Harley. You had to have a child. Decisions need to be made. You're in a two uterus household. So how do you decide whose uterus is going to be used for this family creation journey?
my I okay, so I've had some fertility complications.
Okay.
Um, and I'm not entirely sure the quality
Mhm.
of my eggs. I have been through IVF and it did not turn out the way that I had wanted. I have had a miscarriage.
I'm sorry for your loss. I need to say that. It's not insignificant.
Thank you. Yeah, and so well, first of all, let me backtrack even, a little bit more. Jen said when we first met, she was like, I love children. I'm like, my sister's kids, my brother's kids, I'm always around them. And she saw that when we first met, and she's like, you look like you love children. I do not want them. Just to put that out there. So if, we're going to
Oh,
begin dating and I don't want children, that's not in my future. And so, and you're okay if I say that?
yeah, 100%. Like I do listen, due to my childhood, like growing up in a broken home, like I didn't want that for any individual that I would bring into this world, because it was painful for
You're
me.
very guarded and like jaded on the idea of what a family.
Yeah, I didn't actually, when I envisioned like what a family could look like it was just all very negative.
sure.
And I couldn't picture anything else because I never felt safe enough with anyone else to even explore the idea of having children. So when I met Shawnee, my whole world got
Well, it
everything I
was not.
said that I was like, do you want this? I don't. Do you da da da? And I don't. I'm like, okay. And that completely flip flopped. And I was like, do you want kids? She's
It
like,
did not flip flop. No, you came to me one day and you're like, I want kids with you. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, okay. I was like, just why don't you sit on that? And
yeah.
we'll continue talking about it. And we'll just, because my fear was like, that you wouldn't really be ready. I wanted you to really, really be ready. And you were. And you were just like, I want this. I want this. So the conversation started building and who and how. Well, it seemed like it was kind of almost obvious for me to kind of go through treatments, and because Jen really never imagined herself carrying, and
Right.
so but then things just you know it, it,
It just
it
must have.
presented itself. It was feeling like I wasn't the right fit for it because of my own body, and also career things were happening where I was getting ready for a tour, and I was like, oh man, like being pregnant during that time, like, oh, I just came to her crying, and I was like, I don't know how, if I can, when I can, what it looks like. I just, like, I don't know what next. And Jenna was like, I'll do it.
Yeah, like listen, I'm retired, so I was just like, I'm retired. I'm not doing anything. Like lending my body out in that sense. Like I'm like, I will do it because I really want a family with you. And she was so surprised. That's a big commitment to
Sure.
get pregnant, like, and go through fertility. Like the demands of fertility
Oof,
is
yeah.
extreme. You're
Yeah.
getting poked every 3 days, and blood's getting drawn, and scopes are happening. It's just like, it's very it's emotionally demanding and physically demanding. And so I didn't really understand what I was getting into when it came to the fertility, but I was up for the end result.
Right.
And so I kind of treated it like the Olympics in that sense. Like I may not like the process of it, of getting ready for this big moment, but I know that once I'm there in this moment, it's going to be the best thing in my life. And unfortunately, pregnancy for me was absolutely awful. It was awful. And I would do it again to get Harley 100%, but a second kid, no. It was so awful. It was so awful.
You
Fair.
struggled.
You're allowed to feel that way. There's a lot of people who feel exactly the same way as you, that it just was not their thing. And
I swear to you, when I hear women say, I love being pregnant, I'm like, lies. It's all lies. How?
Oh, you were so sick every single day. You were sick
Yeah.
every single day, and your energy, and just like, it wasn't even just like physical. It was like, oh, it was all of it. You struggled so deeply.
What people don't really know is that we were initially pregnant with twins, and the hormones with twins is like it's big. It's
yeah.
big. And so I think originally that's why I was so sick,
Mhm.
with morning sickness, and the changes in my body were happening so
Fast
quickly,
and hard.
as they do with twins. And then sadly, we lost one of the twins 8 weeks in, which completely threw our world upside down, because you go from envisioning a family of four to now a family of three.
Yeah.
And we call baby B. Baby B is the one that we lost.
Mhm.
Harley is baby A. But it, once we lost baby B, there was a whole added emotional,
Mhm.
um, you know,
Sadness.
sadness around it, but also then my body is like adapting to it. So,
Sure.
and it was just like an added thing for a pregnancy. And then you're so scared that you're going to lose baby A as well. And then, cause you've already gone just through one loss,
Yep.
and baby B had a heartbeat and everything. So every single exam, ultrasound that we went to, I was just like, my anxiety around it was so high.
Yep.
And I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. I can't even equate to the Olympics, because it's like it's a whole different, you're dealing with a life here,
Absolutely.
And it feels like it's not within your control.
and you have no control.
No.
And I felt like, did I do something to cause that? And you start internalizing it. And so I was, pregnancy for me, I was dealing with the loss of baby B, but my body changing so quickly with the hormones, and it was just, I was like, wow, I did not anticipate these things. What I thought it was going to be is like, oh, baby inside, baby comes out, boop, you have a child. But it was like so much more complex.
Yeah.
And I underestimated the how
Toll, probably.
the toll of pregnancy, but also how tough, like, emotionally, pregnancy is. And and as women, we're expected, like, to still operate at a high pace, still go to work and then until you're on mat leave, or still do the things or like there's, my friend, she just had another baby, but she has a 2-year-old. And so like she was pregnant and she was sick and trying to look after her 2-year-old. And it's just like I just find that, women who have babies need a lot more credit than what we're given
Yeah.
because it is so hard.
Yeah.
Even if you do have a nice pregnancy, it is still very, very hard because even 2 years after your baby comes out, you're still dealing with the aftermath of what, what comes with developing a little human inside you.
Hold on for just a moment. We'll be right back. You know about babyREADY because you're listening to this podcast, so you know that we are all about queer family planning and helping you have the family of your dreams. But did you know that we don't abandon you once your baby arrives? We actually offer parenting coaching as well, and that's not just for the newborn phase, although we are there for that, but it's through toddlerhood and young children, tweens, and even through the teen years. When you need someone unbiased to lend an ear so that they can hear where your struggles truly are and help you come up with a path and a plan that feels truly right for you and your individual family, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always happy to be there for you. Visit us at www.babyready.info for more information. I think you're right. I think that's a piece that gets overlooked a lot when I'm teaching a class or something and I start talking about even postpartum depression and that it can occur anywhere in the first 2 years after birth. And people are like, what do you mean in the first 2 years? I'm thinking like the first 6 weeks and then you'll be fine. And I'm thinking, do you not realize that that all of this transition into parenthood is going to take time for your body to adapt to? So you're absolutely right. We don't give credit for that. And it is physiologically challenging, it's emotionally challenging, and it's hormonally confusing as all hell.
Well, and then when the baby comes out, you get no sleep, and now you're running on no sleep and you're like partly delirious and you're like,
That's us now.
that is still us. And it's
you.
been 8 months,
Still breastfeeding.
but like it's, and poor Shawnee, like I put her through the ringer and I find that like, and I'm like, I am so sorry, I am so sorry that I, you know, didn't give you my best while I was pregnant. Like I could barely show up for myself. That's how some days I felt. Um, but I find that, like I'm really grateful that I had such a supportive wife beside me
Yeah.
who understood and tried to understand the most that she could without actually being in my shoes and supporting me and being like, it's okay. There was no expectation for me to ever show up any different than how I was showing up. She never said, no, you need to, she never put pressure on me. And I find that sometimes, women do have that pressure from their partner because there's just a little bit of a lack of understanding,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really grateful to have and that's why I had a kid with her because,
She's a great human.
she's my human and she supports me through and through no matter how I show up, which is nice.
So you decided after a variety of circumstances and a lot of emotional and physical ups and downs that Jen's uterus would be the one that's used. How did you decide on who would be the donor? Did you use a known donor, an unknown donor? I'm not asking you to name names if it was a known donor. That's not what I mean. But how do you come to that next decision-making part?
I almost like feel like it was oddly fate. Like it was out of a catalog, and that's just like for those that don't know or haven't explored quite yet or thinking about it, it's literally just a catalog.
Right.
And you can go through online and you look through pictures and essays and you can hear their voices and how, why what their reasoning for donating is and their educational background and family history and all of those things, right down to how long they grow their fingernails, pretty much. You get to know everything. And we have been through a few different donors, and then, that one's not available anymore. And so you move on, and then this one didn't really have a high count, so you move on. And it was just kind of feeling like nothing quite fit. And then we found this donor, and
Well, we were looking for like you want to make sure that like what's important to you, right? Like what traits or like that you kind of want. And for us,
for me, it was kindness, like somebody who, like, I don't know anything about, like, whether it's, if that can be passed down through blood or genetics, but I just
they
have
had
a
to look
little,
kind.
not, yeah, just like a kindness and an awareness, to me speaks to intelligence and, and an understanding of the world and humans, and that would be very important to me, aside from, like, health and all of those things. That was kind of, so reading the essay and seeing that, it was like he was, it just seemed like that was the case. And
Yeah, so we had like Shawnee had her what was important to her. I had what was important to me, and then together we tried to within this catalog find, somebody who fit in those boxes. One important attribute that I really wanted was a donor who had culture. We initially were looking for an indigenous donor because
That's worse than a needle in a haystack, I suspect.
that was just
yeah,
impossible. It was
there's definitely, like, well, because in Canada you can't buy, you have to go to America where they can buy and sell samples. And so, I mean, in America it's even more complex when it comes to, access for Indigenous people. It's so even more than here, if you can believe that. So yeah, it's access to somebody who carries, Native American, really didn't seem like an option unless it was someone we knew, and we wanted to kind of be mindful of that and not,
Sure.
we had fears about that. So
Sure.
Yeah, so I grew up with zero culture. Obviously, Shawnee is indigenous. I find her culture very inspiring. The indigenous culture is so interesting and inspiring in the way their outlook on life and what their beliefs. I'm like, wow, you're so lucky, and I guess from Shawnee's perspective as like a younger kid, it wasn't luck to be indigenous. It was very much the opposite, bullied for being indigenous. But as for me, I just look at her and I'm like, you are so lucky to have culture. And so it was really important for me that Harley had some sort of cultural background. So, and we found that in our donor, which is amazing. And then other than that, it was just how did this donor spend their time, and we kind of just landed on one specific donor that we were like, this is it.
And let me say, his sperm count reflected his go-getter essay.
I love it.
When the doctor came in, was like, so this is the sperm count. I was like, oh my God. Oh, it is.
It was, and they like, you have,
And that was it. And then you got pregnant. That was it.
yeah, you have
You
like
only did
only one
yeah.
time with this donor, and when you go in for an IUI, that's what it's called. It's been a long, it's been 8 months now. I've completely blanked it out.
Yeah.
So when you go for an IUI, you have, the nurse and the doctor and your partner there. And all three of them looked at me and they go, this is going to work. And
I knew it too.
And this was my sixth time doing it. And I'm telling you, by the sixth time I went to Shawnee, I go, Shawnee, I don't know if I can keep doing this because it's so much anxiety, so much stress, so much heartbreak every time, it fails, and money. And I'm just like, it's taking a toll on me emotionally. And I just don't know. And all three of them were like, this is going to work. And I remember we left the clinic and Shawnee's like, you're pregnant. I was like, wait, what? She's like,
I was like,
I'm telling you,
my spidey senses are telling me
she's like,
you are pregnant.
You you are. And then not even, shortly after, I was. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah. After that many no's, yes feels hard to believe, to wrap your head around.
Oh, and then I was like, but I was so then ridden with anxiety because we try so hard for so long and now it's a real thing. But then it's like, you have to get past these milestones.
Mhm.
There's so many milestones, and I didn't understand that so much could go wrong so
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
And during my pregnancy, I ended up getting influenza A.
Oh
And I
gosh.
didn't realize how Shawnee knew the severity of the situation. I don't. I know nothing. So I was
Mm.
like, oh, I have the flu, but like that is super dangerous for,
Yeah.
a fetus inside you where, I'm severely, severely sick, not eating, fever of a 104 but Shawnee, this is why she's such a great wife and partner because she was like, didn't let me know how severe it was.
Right.
She's just like, you'll get better. It's okay. But
Yeah.
even though she's probably inside being like, oh my gosh, like we need to like how she wants to monitor, the
Mhm.
baby without letting me know that this is actually really, really bad.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was just what a whirlwind.
Yeah. It is, as the partner outside looking in, it is I mean, I mean, I've been in the perspective of, I've been the one carrying. I've also been in the perspective of watching a loved one expecting, and that's I would carry every day of the week by comparison because you've got no control when you have to just stand by and watch it happen to the person you love. It's a lot. It's a lot. So
Yes.
my heart goes out to both of you in that circumstance. It's no fun being pregnant when you're and being really sick, and it's no fun watching the person you love struggling like that.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like the support person usually doesn't get as much credit,
Right.
like during the pregnancy. And I couldn't have done it without her. Like,
Yeah.
I needed that support. And usually, when people come and they're like, congratulations on the baby, and all the focus is really on, well, first and foremost, the baby, and then you as like the birth mother. But then the support person really just gets, shoved
Yeah,
aside in that sense of like, but
that's a
but I find that more people need to pay attention to their support person, and even
Sure.
people on the outside, whether you're your grandpas or sisters or brothers, like the support people need to be acknowledged
Sure.
because
Yep.
it's hard being pregnant, but like you just said, like
you're very sweet, but you're
she
also
doesn't want to take any credit whatsoever.
it's
You played a part.
crazy what you went through, and you deserve nobody should take that credit from you and put it over to here to any other side. It's crazy what you went through, and you deserve
Listen,
everything
I know you're hesitant to take the credit
to
I'm giving
support
you
that.
because let me tell you, I know women are like, I carried that baby. My husband isn't getting any credit for that. And it's just like, totally get it. I'm not trying to take the experience away from those who've given birth, but I'm
No,
also feel like, there needs to be an acknowledgement of if you do have somebody who is supporting you during that time, it is equally hard for them, just in different ways.
sure.
That's
And I
it.
think it can be an and situation, right?
Yes.
It's like parenting. Parenting is a series of ands. It's not either ors. It's not either cloth diaper or disposable diaper, either breastfeed or bottle feed. It's either co-sleep or crib sleep. Life as a parent is a series of ands. We can do both, and both are equally valid and have played roles. And the same is true in this case. Yes, it was a struggle for you, Jen. It sounds like it was a struggle from start to finish, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it was also
Yes.
emotionally difficult for Shawnee. I think both are
Absolutely.
true, right?
Yes, there needs to be space for both, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Is that fair, Shawnee, to say it more like that? Will you take that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I guess so. Yeah,
Unless your experience was easy breezy, but
no, well, no, it's not about that. It's just the tremendous amount of sacrifice that you that you went through during from start to finish is just cannot be even explained. It's crazy because I know you and I know the things that you wanted to be and do and couldn't, and the hardships that you went through that whole time. And yes, I was a part of it, but also I, just in lifting you up, but not like that, not anywhere close to that. So that's the way I see it. Um,
Fair.
I just think all of the claps go towards you for sure. And I wouldn't even for 1 second um wish it any other way.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this in the sense that like she deserves credit. I don't care what in my world with my pregnancy, she deserves credit. She was there.
Credit from you. I'll take a hug from you, but I don't need it from anyone else.
No, but 3 a.m. in the morning when I'm vomiting, like she's awake.
Yeah.
And she still has to work.
Yeah.
And her day still has to go on well, and I am, while I'm in bed, but she's there. She was there the whole time. So I get what she's saying, but at the same time, there is space for both people, and
Sure.
and
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and both
Yeah.
people need to be celebrated because it takes two people, to. And that doesn't necessarily take two people to do it, but in our case, like I couldn't have done it without her. It would have
nice
been
to have the support.
yeah,
What
100%.
you're saying. Yeah.
For sure. And I get that. I get that. And so you used a donor through a bank. Was it an open ID donor that at 18, if Harley has questions, she can reach out and communicate with this individual, or?
It's closed.
It's a closed donor. Yeah,
That wasn't specific to like I didn't have any feelings either way. I would be completely open and honest with her. When and if she comes to us and wants to know whatever she wants to know. But he decided to be closed, and
Mhm.
so um
for me, it was important for him to be closed. I'll be
Mhm.
honest about that. It's
Fair.
not that I want to take away that from her, which a lot of people think that's what we're doing
Right.
by choosing a closed donor. I think in my world, especially growing up without a mother, but who has someone who gave birth to me still on this planet, um, giving birth to somebody or being part of that process doesn't make you a mother or a father.
Right.
Right. And so when Harley comes to us and goes, "Who's my dad?" And it's like, you don't have one. And
Right.
that's the reality of it. You don't have a dad, because to me, the definition of a father is somebody who is active in your life, who's contributing to your life financially, emotionally, and physically, who's doing all those things. And this donor, but what you do have, Harley, is a donor.
Right.
That's how you got here. And so I wanted a closed donor, because that donor, that's the only part that donor played in her life.
100%.
And I think
I
if
get
we
that.
do our job right as two loving moms, she's not going to feel like she needs to go search for a father figure or
Yeah.
a man in her life. I truly believe that. And back to just my point, is the only part that man played is in the creation of her, not the development of her.
I,
Um,
my wife has the very same feeling, and the donor that she used for the creation of my stepdaughter is a closed ID donor. Now my stepdaughter's almost 19. I guess she could, I guess, if she wanted to try and figure out a way to figure out who her donor is, but she doesn't seem to want to. She's never mentioned it. I mean, we usually joke around and use the number that was assigned to that donor's profile from the catalog, whenever she's doing, more so when she was younger, doing something that we didn't like. We were like, oh, that's that number's fault. Just to have somebody to blame, because it couldn't possibly be us.
I like that.
But no, she's never indicated that she needs to know. She has enough information about her lineage and why
Yeah.
my wife chose that donor, and what the health history was for that individual.
I think that's all very important to disclose, and that's something that we will disclose to her
Sure.
because she has culture to her, right? And it's like, you want to know the other side of you. Here you go. Look at the this is the donor. But but this is not your father, and you
Right.
weren't abandoned. Like this is how we're going to be very transparent on how she came about,
Sure.
and um I love that your stepdaughter, who's 19 years old, has no desire to go sort out her donor, because there's this misconception that these kids who grow up in a same-sex marriage will be longing for, to meet, to have a relationship with their
Right.
donor, and that's probably more so untrue than it is
Yeah.
true,
It's
you
certainly,
know?
I can't speak for other families, but I can certainly say in ours that that's the way that it is.
I
Yeah.
guess we'll find out.
And I guess we will find out too.
Yeah.
So
we
another
can't say
podcast in
for
20
sure.
years.
Yes, see you guys
There
in
you
20 years.
There you go. Should we set the date for that now?
It's like the biggest cliffhanger in life.
I'm so grateful for the two of you joining me today and talking about your family creation pathway. Before I let you get back to your afternoon, would you please tell me, each of you, what is your very favorite part of parenting Harley?
Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, it's so hard to pick. I love her smiles in the morning when you go to get her, and she's so freaking happy that you're there. And I love watching her grow. Like, I'm so proud of her. She's like not afraid of anything. And that is what I wanted for her. Like, before she was even born and we found out we were having a girl, a lot of people would, a lot of things that I heard was, careful. Girls are so hard to deal with. They are always mouthy. Boys are so simple. Girls are so difficult. And it's like, hold on. I think I kind of want her to be difficult. I want her to have a voice, and I do not want to squash. I know what it's like to be a female in a room and feel like I cannot speak up
Yep.
and I cannot use my voice, even though I so badly want to. And I just want her to know that in this room and then any other room that you go into, you use your voice and feel. And so she is, when I tell you she's feisty, that little girl, I swear she is feisty, and you're not. So I don't know where she gets that from. Probably whatever that number is, 754 feet 50. But I don't want to squash that in her. I want her, she's 8 months and she's like, I'm a walk, don't touch me. And she's like, I'm learning to crawl and her knees are all bruised up. And she's like, and I'm like, wait, mommy's gonna put your knee pads on. And she's like, don't touch me. I'm gonna do it myself. And it's just like, go get it, girlfriend. You go get it. And I just love that about her. And I just want to foster that in the best way. And I will learn from her,
Yep.
and we'll just do that together. And that's what I love about her.
I think for me, and you just said it, one of my favorite things about parenting her is the things that I learn.
Mhm.
We learn a lot from her on the daily. And she challenges us in ways that we never thought. So I find that really interesting and rewarding. And then also watching her navigate these milestones, it's truly a blessing in our life. We're truly grateful to be successful. We also know that there's a lot of families out there who aren't successful, and our hearts go out to those families, because it's, I can't imagine, like I have a small glimpse of what those fails feel like, but I can't imagine not having Harley in our life, and what that would have looked like, because we wanted it so bad. So we really enjoyed our conversation with you. It was fun.
I wish it could be longer.
We can always do this again another time. We could do a Harley update on her birthday or something like that. Just keep the world fully attuned. Now, the two of you have significant social media presence, and you've been posting about Harley's life and about your whole family creation journey since for a long time, years now. Do you mind, or do you want to share your social media platform handles so that people can find you if they want to know more about the Kish family?
Pretty much everything is Shawnee Kish Instagram, Shawnee Kish TikTok.
Mine is Jen_Kish. And then Harley has her own Instagram where it's just all about Harley and her personality, which is Harley Kish. So yeah, just type in the names and I think we like sharing our family on social media. Obviously, there's a danger that comes with that,
Yep.
but at the same time, we Harley, if you've ever seen Harley look at a camera, like when the camera's on,
Oh my
she's
God.
on.
She's on.
Well, no,
She's like,
even if she was on.
I swear she's like a 21-year-old in an 8-month-old body. She's like, she looks at herself and she's like, hi.
Well, one of the reasons why we put her on social media is because we realized, like, other than we wanted to share a story and let people know that it is normal, it is okay, and you're not alone, is when she saw herself on camera, she was like, I was like, wow, you're born to. You have a personality and you love this. So she watches videos of herself all day, all night. Like
She'll watch her own vlogs.
and she'll watch the old blog and then she'll laugh about it. So it's just like we're not forcing social media on her. She naturally is gravitating towards just wanting to be on camera, and we want to share that with people because why not? Why not?
A natural entertainer. Nature, nurture, I don't know, but
Yeah, exactly.
all right. Thank you both so much.
Thanks,
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you for joining me today on the Becoming Baby Ready podcast. If you have a story that you'd like to share, or you know someone who might, if you're a professional who works in the capacity of helping people start and grow their families, and you identify as being a part of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community yourself, then please don't hesitate to reach out. We always have room for more stories to share, and there's always more learning to do.